by the championship leader Prost. Well, 53 laps of the Osterreichring today, and the commentators James Hunt and Murray Walker.
Well, up at the front, on the right, number 27, Patrick Tambay, second pole position in 2 weeks. Just behind him is Arnoux, and look in fifth position, the way Alain Prost has angled his car, ready to sprint ahead, he hopes. But in order to do, there they go, Tambay, and Piquet is coming up very quickly indeed as they go up the rise to the Hella-Leaf curve. And this year, unlike last, no crashes at the start, thank heavens. So into the right, left, right, and it's Tambay, Arnoux, Piquet, Mansell in fourth place, Prost, Patrese, then behind Patrese is Eddie Cheever, behind Eddie Cheever is Derek Warwick. They all stream through the chicane at the Hella-Leaf curve, and Keke Rosberg was very badly left at the start, and there is a crash. Out goes Sura, Mark Sura, and his right front wheel is off, so the race has hardly started before Mark Sura from Switzerland in the Arrows is out of the race, and it looked to me as though John Watson was involved too. But anyway, as they're coming towards the Bosch curve, it's Tambay and Arnoux with Piquet third.
It looks a bit like Keke Rosberg was really causing that. I couldn't be sure whether it was him or Jacques Lafitte. I only got a glance at the car, but there was one of the Williamses was in the thick of that and pushing and shoving, and Rosberg possibly trying to make up for his bad start.
Now you can see the power of these Ferraris, because they've got far more horsepower than anybody else. It's Tambay leading, it's Arnoux second. In third place and gaining on Arnoux is Piquet. There's the Brazilian. Then it's Prost, and Nigel Mansell is in fifth place as the rest come over the brow of the hill. And out of the race too is Michele Alboreto. Lap one, Sullivan's car out of the race. That's the second of the two Benetton Tyrrells. Michele Alboreto driving the new car. Lap one completed. No change for the first four. There's Mansell with Patrese right behind him, and Cheever and Warwick. Very, very quick, this Austrian Grand Prix circuit. You can see the yellow flag is out there. And as they go into the chicane for the second time, it is Tambay, Arnoux, Piquet, Prost, Patrese, Mansell, Cheever, Warwick, then De Cesaris. The rest of them go through, including Winkelhock. There's Alboreto in the new car. So already, certainly, Sura is out of the race, Sullivan is out of the race, and query John Watson and query Keke Rosberg. We'll check on our lap chart and let you know as soon as we know ourselves. Down to the Bosch curve, lap 2.
Yes, the circuit also puts a very hard strain with these long, fast corners. Terrific strain on the tyres, particularly on the left front tyre. The drivers in the early part of the race, when the cars are heavy with fuel, you see there that left front tyre doing all the work, and the corner is in fact slightly banked, and if they go into the corners a little bit quickly and start sliding that tyre, they scuff it, and that can cause them great problems later in the race with understeer and the car not getting any bite at the front end. And that's something that the leading drivers will be, I would imagine, or they should be watching very carefully.
Out of the pits comes John Watson. So Watson was involved in that fracas on the first lap, and see the way they're really crushed up. There's about 8 cars with less than 2 seconds separating them. There is Baldi in the Alpha. Behind him is teammate De Cesaris, and it is Tambay, Arnoux, Piquet, Prost, Patrese, Mansell and Cheever going through, followed by De Cesaris and Baldi. Then there's a gap before Manfred Winkelhock. Now, watch the two Ferraris. 27, Tambay, 28, Arnoux. They've got the lead positions. Now they will be trying to control the race from the front. This is lap 3, and the thing that they've got to do, as Patrick Tambay was saying just before the race began, is to make sure that they don't wear their tyres. It's a very abrasive surface. It's very hot here. They have to be absolutely exact on the line. There's a danger of wearing out the left front. Piquet in third position, Prost in fourth, Patrese in fifth. There are Prost and Patrese. Sixth is Nigel Mansell, who's well in touch with the race. It's a 53-lap race round the Bosch curve, which is a 140-mile-an-hour bend. Giacomelli has gone into the pits, and Warwick is going into the pits. So the promise that the Tollman gave us in practice is not being fulfilled in the race, unfortunately, for British enthusiasts. And we are looking now at Arnoux And then behind Arnoux and going through and trying to take Patrese was Cheever, but Patrese moved across and blocked him. There's over the crest of the hill now. Tombay, Arnoux, Piquet. Prost, Patrese, Cheever is the order. So Nigel Mansell has lost another place and is down to 7th position as they come through to complete lap 4. To start lap 4, my apologies.
Well, there go the senior turbos. They've got themselves a nice bunch at the front. It looks like the two Ferraris, Piquet, Prost and Patrese are forming the leading group, with Nigel Mansell appearing to be just clinging on to them, but clinging on all right at the moment. The race, they have now had time to settle down, and we've got to look a bit carefully to see just who are the people in the group who look as if they're trying to move up, and who are the people who look as if they're struggling to stay where they are. Behind them, little bit of gap to the Alphas, who are struggling to maintain what I call the senior turbo team's pace, but are very much well ahead, pulling away from the others.
Only 2.6 seconds, well, 2.79 according to that, separating the first 6 drivers, and Nigel Mansell is down to 7th place as I talk to you. They're coming up to complete the 4th lap, so it is the 2 Ferraris turbos at the front, then the Brabham BMW turbo of Piquet, then the Renault turbo of Prost, then it's Patrese and Cheever. So as James says, very much a turbo race as it was last week in Germany. And round the sweeping right-handed, tremendously fast, 140 mile an hour Bosch curve goes René Arnoux. And what is that course car doing there? There must be trouble somewhere on the course, which we haven't seen, because it's most unusual, to put it mildly, as the 2 Alphas go through, Baldi and De Cesaris, to see a course car on a Grand Prix circuit during the race.
That's right. He's done nearly a lap, in fact, Murray, because he was on the top straight earlier, and he's been quietly going round. Most extraordinary performance, because he doesn't appear to have been doing anything very purposeful.
Number 1 Austrian enthusiast, I think, James, but he shouldn't be allowed there, obviously. Patrese and Cheever, no, and Piquet and Prost, my apologies, the Brabham and the Renault. Now it's still Tombay, Arnoux, Piquet, Prost, Patrese, Nigel Mansell ahead of Cheever, and gaining on Cheever, no doubt about it. 23 Baldi in the Alfa Romeo, 22 his teammate Andrea De Cesaris. These turbocharged Alphas in their first season, because last year they had the V12 engines, and the Alfa Romeo engines have given remarkably little problems. The problems with Alfa Romeo have been the drivers rather than the cars. And Andrea De Cesaris on the right then in 8th position, gaining on Baldi, Arnoux, Piquet, Prost, Patrese, Mansell in 6th position, really in touch, because Nigel Mansell is less than 2 seconds, I think, visually, behind Patrick Tombay. We are on lap 5 now in this 53-lap race, and Andrea De Cesaris crawling all over the back of his teammate Baldi's Alfa Romeo, wants to get by. There they go. Now the leaders coming up to the chicane. We'll probably see them through, I trust. Very, very hot. Well, it's about 80 degrees here at Zellweg. They're the Tombay, Prost, Piquet hanging on, well in touch. Prost, who wants above all things, Alain Prost, that's number 15 in the yellow and white Renault, the 4th of these cars, to finish in the top 6 to keep his World Championship hopes alive. Of course he wants to win, but reliability is the name of the game, and if he can just get points, it will improve his World Championship position. And there is Tombay. Now, Tombay already gaining on a tail ender, and it looks like it's one of the Marlboro McLarens, I think, unlikely to be louder, and is almost certain, therefore, to be John Watson. John Watson is in 20th position, a lap behind, because, as you know, he went into the pits and came out again. Giacomelli's been into the pits, Warwick has been into the pits, and the Ferraris are very, very much in control of this race. The Frenchman, Patrick Tombay, now we'll see who it is. There's Arnoux, Piquet, Prost, Patrese, Mansell in 6th position. There is Cheever in 7th place. And it is John Watson. It's John Watson. He's just been lapped by Patrick Tambay as Nigel Mansell goes into the Jochen Rindt curve, named after the great Austrian ex-world champion. And the gap between Patrick Tambay now and Nigel Mansell, who is in 6th position, is still only 3 seconds. And they are on lap 6 out of 53. James, it rather looks to me as though they're rather intent on keeping station and watching the men in front rather than fighting to get ahead. Wrong or right?
Well, yeah, well, wrong and right in a way, Murray. The problem is here that now that these cars have got so much power, they don't give, the straights are effectively shortened by the fact they've got more power, and they don't really get enough straight to get a tow, i.e. to get in the car in front's slipstream in the hole that it's making in the air, and therefore, of course, not have to make a hole yourself. So you go faster, but you need a length of straight that is longer than anything here to get that advantage. And of course, because these corners are very fast, the cars are very, the aerodynamics work very hard, the wings on the cars, and if you get too close to a car in front of you round the corner, you're in his hole in the air, so your wings aren't working, so you don't get the grip. So you don't only have to drop back, you are dropped back, you just don't get the grip. And so the problem is for the cars to run close enough to each other to get overtaking position. But Prost is now attacking here, you see, or was that Prost or Cheever? Cheever getting close there, but again he's lost touch again. He wanted to get a good slingshot there over the brow of the hill and try and outbrake, but overtaking is really very difficult. And at the moment, I think each of the drivers, particularly the ones up front, are aware that without making a mistake, there really isn't very much that the guys behind them can do, and so they can drive their own race. Tambay, for example, doesn't have to rush things. He wants to look after his tyres because he's got a long way to go. He's an intelligent driver, and he's probably given it a try of a fairly hard lap to see if he can make any impression. Found he can't, so he's now intent on looking after his car, making no mistake, and not doing it. Having said that, he has opened, or he's maintained that very slight gap that he got a lap ago when they lapped John Watson. He got past Watson before the others, made a bit of a gap, and he sort of kept it. But we'll have to watch and see if that little opening he can exploit, because right now he should be giving it everything, just as a test.
Patrese is trying again. There is Niki Lauda down the field, and as we watch this fairly spread out now over about 4 seconds, the top 6 on lap 8 out of 53. It is Tambay leading in the Ferrari, 2nd is Arnoux, 3rd is Piquet, 4th is Prost, in 5th position Riccardo Patrese, 6th is Nigel Mansell, in 7th position it's Eddie Cheever, 8th is Andrea De Cesaris, 9th is his teammate Baldi, in 10th position it's Winkelhock, in 11th place Lauda and the leading non-turbo therefore, and in 12th position, still going strong, Stefan Johansson in the turbocharged Honda as we look at Patrick Tambay. Derek Warwick has retired at the end of the 6th lap, and that brings into doubt whether or not he will stay with Toleman for 1984, because Warwick must be getting very disillusioned in spite of all their efforts. He's yet to score a World Championship point after 3 years with the team, and he's had a lot of offers, notably from the John Player Special Lotus team, to join them. Patrick Tambay. Now the gap between Tambay and Arnoux is getting on for a second. It's 8/10 of a second on lap 9 out of 53. You can see the gap now between Tambay and in 3rd position Piquet, sandwiching René Arnoux. 4th it is still Prost. There is the yellow Renault cresting the rise and dropping down. In 5th position Patrese, 6th position Nigel Mansell, who must be very, very happy that at last the many gremlins which had attacked the JPS Renault seem to have been put down. Derek Warwick's trouble, incidentally, was again a turbo. I say again because his Brian Hart designed and built motor has had a lot of turbo trouble this year. They haven't got the funds that Ferrari, Renault and Brabham with BMW behind them as far as engines are concerned have, and that looks like a Renault to me. Let's see who gets out of it. I wish they'd get in a bit closer so that we could identify for you. It looks like the Bosch curve, in which case whoever it is very lucky, or is it Stefan Johansson? It's Stefan Johansson, definitely. Oh, well, the Grand Prix of 1983, and this is Stefan's third Grand Prix, have not been happy for the Swedish driver, because he went out in Germany, he went out in Britain, he went out in the Race of Champions as well. So Honda, Spirit and the rest of the team have got to find reliability as we look now again on lap 10, the leader Tombe.
Yes, Tombe's little chance, what chance he had of any little break has been firmly stamped on now, and René Arnoux in fact put up the fastest lap when he had the space, the fastest lap of the race so far, when he had the space in front of him to come back at Tombe. So we're still locked in this stalemate up front, and we can only wait patiently. It's got to break soon. Somebody's going to pass somebody, or somebody's going to slow down, and the gap's going to appear. But I mean, Mansell dropping back a little tiny bit, and Cheever likewise dropping back a little bit behind him. But really, the first five are very closely matched at the moment. See, Tombe opens a little gap there. Arnoux drops back just a little bit. That's PK putting him under a little bit of pressure. This is a potential overtaking point over the hill, but they just don't seem to be able to get the cars close enough there. You've got to really be alongside, so you need a good sling at him out of that previous left and then right-hand corner. PK looked to slide a little bit wide there, but he's got it all up together, and he's under no threat from Alain Prost. He's just a little bit too far behind to take advantage of any slip.
On lap 11 then, you see the leaders together, and I confirm, as we see René Arnoux in second place with Tombe ahead of him, PK third, Prost fourth, Patrese fifth and Nigel Mansell sixth, that out of the Austrian Grand Prix, and we are now on lap 11 out of 53, have gone Mark Sura, Danny Sullivan, Derek Warwick, Stefan Johansson, and almost certainly Michele Alboreto, who has disappeared from our lap chart at the moment, so that means both the Tyrrells have struck some sort of trouble. Elio De Angelis is now out of the race because he had trouble. He was involved in that incident at the start, so last year's winner, Elio De Angelis, will not be appearing anywhere near the rostrum for first, second and third at the end of the Austrian Grand Prix. Domination by Ferrari, who with their British engineer Dr. Harvey Postlethwaite's chassis and the superb Ferrari V6 turbo motor, which not only develops an enormous amount of horsepower, more than anybody else's turbo engine, but is reliable, really have got everything beautifully together. Patrick Tombe, the man that we expected to be dominated by René Arnoux, the ex-Renault driver, is doing just what he did in Germany, except that he's kept going, because in Germany he led the race and had to retire. But now, as they cross the line, which means 11 laps completed out of 53, it's still Tombe Arnoux, there they go, then PK, then Prost, and as soon as I can see a good timing point, I'll tell you what the gap is. Well, the gap between Tombe in the lead and Prost, who is fourth, is 2.1 seconds. So, as James has said, they're all watching points, they're all watching their tyres, especially that vital left front. Talking of tyres, Goodyear have got new compounds since Germany for the Austrian Grand Prix, notwithstanding the fact that they won with René Arnoux in Germany. And the third and fourth and fifth cars are on Michelin tyres, so there's several battles raging at the front between the Renaults, the Ferraris, the Brabham BMWs, the three senior turbo teams, and the tyres that they respectively use. This is approaching the point where Patrese went off in the lead last year. In fact, it was just there, whereas Patrick Tombe passes the Ligier of Jean-Pierre Jarier, who looks as though he's driving in to retire, and his teammate Raoul Boesel did not qualify, by the way. And there is Piquet. The gap between first and third is 0.64 seconds. Piquet closed up a bit on René Arnoux. I wonder if he's starting a charge. And let us not forget, as they complete another lap, that's lap 12, going into lap 13 now, that round about lap 25 onwards, we are going to be seeing the famous refueling stops. Last weekend in Germany, the Brabham team, and there is the Brabham BMW of Piquet, achieved the fastest pit stop, we think, of all time, including Indianapolis, because they stopped, took on 25 gallons of fuel in Patrese car, changed all 4 wheels and tyres in 9.75 seconds. Tombay, Arnoux, Piquet, Prost, Patrese, Mansell, the order, 6 seconds only, 6.7 seconds between Tombay in the lead, Mansell in 6th position. Still anybody's race. Reliability is the name of the game at the moment. Only 19 left, incidentally, out of the 26 that started. The non-starters were Kenny Atchison, who just failed to make it for the Austrian-grand-prix in his March car, Raul Boesel and Johnny Cecotto, the Venezuelan driver, in the second of the 2 Theodore cars. And his teammate Roberto Guerrero is going strong. He's in about 15th position at the moment. Lap 13. Tombay leads, Arnoux second, Piquet third, Prost fourth, Patrese fifth, Mansell sixth, 7th is Chiva, 8th is De Cesaris, who has passed his teammate Baldi, who is therefore 9th. In 10th position it is Winkelhock. In 11th position, leading non-turbo, it is Niki Lauda, and in 12th position it is Jean-Pierre Jarier, but I think not any longer, because as I said, he seems to be touring in. And Nigel Mansell, the bad news is, seems to be dropping back. You see the first 5 cars are together now, certainly the first 4. Nigel Mansell, who was behind Riccardo Patrese, has dropped back. Team tactics for the Ferraris, do you think, James?
Well, I should think at this stage they're driving their own race, although Arnoux seems to be looking a bit purposeful now behind Tombay for the first time. In fact, he is in a position to have a go if he so wishes. Well, that was a sort of a go, but he'd be better off around the other side, I would think. Here. Driving their own race, I would think, at this stage, and certainly until after the pit stop. I mean, obviously they're not going to try and they're going to be careful when overtaking not to knock each other off, but I wouldn't think that there are any orders. I'm quite sure the pit will be happy if Arnoux can get in front of Tombay without any harm, that he should get in front and pull away if he can. After the pit stop, it may well be that as Patrick Tombay is the man with the most points, if they're in a situation where Arnoux can help him by dropping back behind him or something, had he got in front, they may have some plan for that, but I'm sure that comes later. The problem that Piquet is faced with, which we can watch now, Piquet is now quite close behind Arnoux, and you watch how far he is when he gets up to the chicane, how far he's fallen back. The Ferrari's engine is the envy of everybody in the business. It's the most reliable and the most powerful, which is a pretty wonderful start to have for anybody. Well, it's hard to see them because we've got a back marker in the way, and the whole thing got rather messed up. But certainly Piquet, once he gets out of the corner onto the straight, loses ground to the Ferrari, and of course that is not conducive to easy overtaking.
I don't know what Jarier is up to. He's driving round now. He's completed that slow lap that I was talking about, and he's dawdling round at the back of the field now. He's going jolly quick, of course, by my standards and most normal people's, but he's certainly dawdling by racing standards. The fastest lap, 1:34.1 then for Patrick Tombay. 1:34.1 compares with the lap record, 1980 lap record of René Arnoux of 1:32.5, so he's about 1.5 seconds off the all-time lap record pace. And since Tombay qualified this year, albeit with virtually empty tanks and qualifying tyres in 1:29.9, I would think he could go a lot quicker, except of course we need to remember that Arnoux put up that time with a skirted Renault, whereas Tombay, there he is with Arnoux behind him, is driving a flat-bottomed Ferrari, no skirts, which help tyre and adhesion and grip. Therefore, I think Tombay has actually got something in reserve. He goes across the line now, 1.1 seconds ahead of Arnoux, whereas the little Frenchman, René Arnoux, was a lot closer in the previous lap than 1.1 seconds. Piquet still hanging on there. And this could be a situation which starts to change things, because there is Guerrero with Jacques Lafitte, who only qualified right down in 22nd position, on 24th position, even worse, on the grid. Now, they are about to be engulfed and lapped by the Ferraris. Now, are they going to give way? Guerrero, number 33, and behind the leaders, Eddie Cheever is trying to take Nigel Mansell. I can see this as they go past our position, but there are the leaders.
Yes, could be a problem for Tambay here, because he wants to get round quickly, and if René Arnoux got more momentum, which he may have, he's heading for the inside. He was looking to have a go to pass Patrick there. However, he may yet have another go if Tambay gets held up and doesn't get a clean shot out of this left and right combination over the route. Tambay, if he's wise, might back a little bit. He's got so much more power. It's dangerous to arrive too soon and on the person's turn in the middle of the corner. Anyway, he's done it. He's judged it beautifully. Tambay's judged it absolutely right. Nothing Arnoux can do about it, and they're both through.
And I've had a flash here that Michele Alboreto, who was out of the race on our lap charts but has now come back again, has made contact with Stefan Johansson, and that can't be right, because we saw Johansson go. That was Piquet hitting there Prost, and Prost has moved up into third position.
Yes, a little coming together there. The back markers were causing the confusion, and Arnoux is having a go at Tambay now, so all of a sudden we've got plenty of drama. Back markers caused confusion for Piquet. Prost came through, and Piquet's got him back. So these two, and what's more, when I would think there's quite a lot of adrenaline pumping around those two cockpits, because they've just had a little wheel banging at the chicane. Here we get a chance to see it again. Now, Prost just slipping inside, Piquet turning into him there, and I have to say that I think that looked very much like Piquet's fault there, because Alain Prost had made the space, he was fully in there, and Piquet attacked his back wheel with his front when Prost was already pretty well completely past him. So I think maybe it's not like Nelson Piquet to make a mistake like that. I think he was caught unawares, busy looking at the back markers, and just made error there, didn't see Prost. Which of course was what Prost had hoped in order to start the manoeuvre, but he would like to have seen near the finish. Anyway, no damage, or at least it would appear no damage to those two cars, and they're in there fighting tooth and nail. So Piquet has now got the upper hand again for the moment, but they've given the Ferraris a little bit of a breathing space. You see, they've given them 100 yards or so, but on pass form should be able to pull that back reasonably, or have they given them the break? We will see.
Indeed we will. The Ferraris have certainly increased the gap, and I wonder whether either the Brabham or the Renault were damaged. I didn't know, because Piquet, in nudging Prost, pushed the Frenchman's Renault up onto the curb. It's possible that the suspension of either car was damaged, but as James says, it certainly doesn't look like it. Meantime, there is Piquet third, Prost fourth, and the next car you see in the picture, and there it is, Riccardo Patrese, who was a lot closer, and I'm just trying to identify who that is going very slowly, that's been passed by the red and white Marlboro McLaren that we're looking at, and I don't know whether that is Niki Lauda or John Watson. The answer is it is Niki Lauda, wearing his Lauda Air colours on his helmet. He has his own Austrian airline, and there is the Austrian. And Stefan Johansson is back in the race. You saw him. He must have been push-started, because we saw the car stop. We saw him half getting out of the car. We saw him gesticulating at the marshals. He must have somehow persuaded them to restart him, in which case he's almost certain to be excluded. In fact, he is certain to be excluded for having an illegal start, because you'll remember the problems that Keke Rosberg had in Brazil when his own mechanics pushed him. He was excluded from second place. Otherwise, he would have been much higher in the World Championship than he is, in fifth position at the moment. Over the line then go the two Ferraris. They have completed 18 laps.
That means there are 35 laps to go. I promise you won't miss a trick in that race. But first, at the Motor Racing Grand Prix again, the Austrian Grand Prix, round 11 of the World Championship. We left it on lap 18. The Ferraris of Tambay and Arnoux out front. Murray Walker again.
On lap 21, Tambay leads. There he goes. Watch him come over the crest of the hill. Then René Arnoux, second place. Just behind him, Piquet third. Just behind him, Prost fourth. In fifth position, Riccardo Patrese. So both the Brabham BMWs are still running. Sixth is Eddie Cheever, both the Renaults. And in seventh position is Nigel Mansell. Eighth is Andrea De Cesaris. in 9th position. Winkelhock in 10th position is Lauda, and there is Jean-Pierre Jarier about to be lapped by the leading 4 cars. Whatever it was wrong with Jarrier's car has been put right, and now he's going to be passed by his fellow Frenchman, Patrick Tambay. Well, we hope he is. We've said in the past that Jean-Pierre Jarier is not always the easiest man in the field to pass. Is he going to be difficult again?
And it's given Arnoux an opportunity to have a sharp look at Tambay's. I think the trouble is it hasn't really helped Arnoux, because with Jarier there as well, as usual, getting in the way, and he's managed to hold them up for 2 corners now, and it really is completely out of order. A driver of his experience, and Arnoux is getting through, he's getting alongside. Tambay's cracking at it the other side, but can't, and he'll be thanking Jarier probably with a knuckle sandwich after the race, I think, for that. And as Piquet pulling through on the inside, I think, has just nipped through inside, and Jarier really is completely out of order. I mean, he really shouldn't be allowed to drive in Grand Prix racing. He is he's got a mental age of 10 in the first place, and that was absolutely disgraceful for a driver of his experience. And I would think that the authorities have really got to look at driving like that and do something about it, because he should certainly have a short suspension for that, and for being himself, he should have a permanent suspension. And Prost into the pits.
Yes, Alain Prost coming into the pits on time in 4th position on the 22nd lap after. Now let's watch stop. Start the stopwatch, the usual drill, calm, precise. Monsieur Tétu, the Renault engine man, at the front of the car. The wheels off, up go the pneumatic hammers, out goes the car. 11.7 seconds to the nearest 10th for Alain Prost. Came out in 4th position, and as an observer of many years, but certainly no driver, I most definitely agree with James. That was a crass piece of driving by Jarier, who denied Patrick Tambay the lead, who allowed Piquet to go through into 2nd place. And now on lap 23, it is, as we look at the new leader, René Arnoux, followed by Piquet, followed by Tambay, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and more pit stops to come.
Yes, and that is the blessing in disguise for Patrick Tambay, because that sort of driving in the old days without pit stops could and probably would have cost him the race, or what chance he had of winning it, and he would certainly have been evens being out in the lead there. However, with the pit stops to come, that can be rectified, and if all goes well, of course, Jarier could get away with it, but a knuckle sani, I would think, would be the minimum penalty that he should have to chew on. Jarier, I really can't believe that that's happened. He's been around for years, and it's not the first time he's done it. He's done it every time he's had the opportunity this year, which has been pretty frequent, because he's been hovering around the back, getting in everybody's way as it is. Even in practice, he's been doing it. He's grossly unpopular with all the other drivers for his bad behaviour on the track, and I really think it's time something was done.
Now there's Patrese, who is in 4th position, has passed Keke Rosberg, number 1 there, the world champion, and Patrese now has the incentive of seeing the previous race leader, Patrick Tambay, ahead of him. We're on lap 24. This should be the lap that Chiba comes in. In fact, there's a lot of them going to be coming in from now on, because we're approaching the half-distance point in the race. A new leader, René Arnoux, who of course won the German Grand Prix, who sees the chance to increase his World Championship points. So, lap 24, René Arnoux leads, Nelson Piquet 2nd, Tambay is 3rd, in 4th position it is Patrese, 5th is Chiva, 6th is De Cesaris, 7th is Prost, and in 8th position is Nigel Mansell, and Prost in 7th place, don't forget, has made his pit stop. So now he will be fighting up through the field on coldish tyres, although they just take a lap to warm up.
Yes, I like Prost's situation. He made a very fast stop, and I would think anybody who can get in and out and still be in front of him, if he gets a clear run, doesn't get held up in the next few laps, will have done jolly well indeed. As René Arnoux backing away, trying to extend his lead, and Piquet in hot pursuit, with Tambay falling back a little bit behind, but not too serious if he can get a good stop. They're so close now that really it's going to depend on the pit stop. There's what, less than a second, or about a second, between the Ferrari and the Brabham, and a difference of 2 seconds in turning a car around in the pits is not a particularly big margin, but that would change everything around. For instance, if Piquet was 2 seconds quicker, he'd be out just in front of René Arnoux. Another thing now with the pit stops, it's now becoming pretty critical how well a driver can drive his first lap as he comes out of the pits on cold tyres, because while he can't go mad, he's got to get them warm quickly and get into the groove again very, very quickly, because if he has a couple of warming up laps just to get the feel of the new Thierry Boutsen there, just pulling in for his stop. They're all swarming round, but it seems like they're having a bit of a discussion about it as well, so I think it's probably more like an unscheduled stop for him. Yes, they seem to be chatting about it and not doing any sort of major drill. But so the driver, if he has a bad couple of laps or goes at it a bit gently, he could lose 4 or 5 seconds in that time on a track like this, and that's a lot.
Thierry Boutsen, the young Belgian, in the arrows, and don't forget his teammate Marc Surer is out of the race, and this is only Boutsen's 6th Grand Prix. And as we watch him in what is turning out to be an enormously long pit stop, which has clearly got nothing to do with wheels and tyres, on lap 25, John Watson is coming up through the field a bit. He's in 16th position. There is the race leader, Arnoux, and now Niki Lauda is in front of Piquet, who's got Tombe, who seems a bit closer. It looks to me as though Tombe is getting a bit closer to Nelson Piquet, who has passed Niki Lauda, who is hanging on well to René Arnoux. And don't forget that Niki Lauda is a lap behind. He's not in the running as far as the lead is concerned, although he is the leading non-turbocharged car. And this is where Patrick Tombe should sprint past him on the approach to the Bosch curve.
Well, the fact that those 3 drivers have done a reshuffle in their order and are now concertinaing back together again in a group augurs very well for a good finish to this race, because it does mean that they are very evenly matched. I mean, before we had Arnoux pressing Tombe, and we wondered whether if he got past he'd be able to pull away and storm away a bit, because that's very often the case. Same with Piquet, but if anything, Tombe is catching Arnoux, and so is Piquet, and they're getting closer and closer together again. So that's lucky for us, and Arnoux giving it a little bit of one on the inside curve, but no worries there, just slightly offline. But of course there's no load on the inside wheels over a brow like that. It just makes a rather uncomfortable ride.
The gap between Arnoux, the leader, and Piquet in 2nd place is 1.35 seconds. The gap between Piquet and Tombe is 1.2 seconds, and there is Patrese storming through in 4th position. It's only about 4 seconds between the 1st and 4th. There's Patrese, who has passed Niki Lauda, and since the position on the 27th lap seems to have settled down a little while, let's just have a look. And there is Cheever into the pits. Eddie Cheever, his teammate's time was 11.7 seconds. The wheels stop, and actually the jacks are under the car, and the load is off the wheels before they've even stopped turning. Eddie Cheever keeping the engine running, and that's a really super pit stop. That is 10.7 seconds for Eddie Cheever, which is a second faster than his teammate Alain Prost. Cheever was in 6th position, so now he's obviously gone down through the field a bit, because Andrea de Cesaris at least, and Alain Prost, who's had his pit stop, will have passed him while he was in the pits. And now the race leader, René Arnoux, number 8 there, number 28 there, the number that was carried by Didier Pironi last year, must be coming up to his pit stop. And one or other, we haven't been able to get Ferrari to tell us when they intend to make their pit stops. But look at Tombe now. He is right back with Nelson Piquet on lap 27 out of 53, as just slightly over the half-distance lap as Niki Lauda lapped, goes over the crest. There is Roberto Guerrero in the Theodore, and René Arnoux with... There's Keke Rosberg, René Arnoux with Nelson Piquet 2nd, and Patrick Tombe in 3rd position, gaining on the Brazilian in the Brabham BMW. There is De Cesaris. Behind De Cesaris is Alain Prost, who's made his pit stop. That's the man who is leading the World Championship. Fastest lap, that's interesting. Prost, 1:33.9. Alain Prost, 1:33.9. compared with Arnoux' lap record of 1:32.5. Into another lap. Now, Prost is charging, definitely. He's on fresh tyres.
But since he's stopped, he's having a real go, absolutely right, but he's just about held station with René Arnoux in the lead. And so what that means is that Prost's stop cost him about 30 seconds on the road. Now, it'll be very interesting to see how that works when René Arnoux stops, if Ferrari make a good stop. It's nice to see that the pit stops, of course, being a new innovation in Formula One and a new route of development by which to go. Only rarely got stuck into them this season. It's very nice to see just how efficient the teams are becoming at it. Now, També's car looks smoky as he comes over that brow every lap. I got a glimpse of that the lap before, and there goes René Arnoux in for his stop. So this is the big, vital, important stop.
Ferrari team very well drilled indeed. They mustn't panic now. The petrol's got to go in smoothly. The wheel and Patrese is in the background. Out goes Arnoux, 11.24. Well, that's half a second quicker than Prost, which could turn out to be vital. There is Riccardo Patrese, who, I remind you, was in 4th position. Out he goes, and I hadn't started my watch, and they haven't given us the digital time, but I think, from the look of it, and knowing how efficient the Brabham team are, that was an enormously fast stop. Well, there is the Ligier. James, I think you differ with me on that one. I wasn't watching Patrese all that closely. What did you see?
Well, we didn't come on to the beginning of it, so we couldn't have a clock, and nor could they. That's a relatively slow one for Jarier. Pity they didn't keep him there. But I thought that Patrese lost ground. He got away further after René Arnoux than he appeared to get into the pits, and they'd put the petrol in and finished doing that for quite a long time, and they still seem to be a bit slow on one or two of the rear wheels on Patrese's car. So I think they might have lost a bit of ground, but we can only see that when they're both back on the road and settled, and we'll see, because the gap was only 3 or so seconds from Arnoux to Patrese when they went in. Anyway, where is René Arnoux in relation to Alain Prost? This is the important thing.
And so is this, because these are the first and second men, Nelson Piquet and Patrick Tambay. Don't forget that Arnoux been into the pits. We are on lap 30 out of 53. Patrick Tambay, Nelson Piquet puts a rear wheel off the circuit onto the grass, raises the dust. Patrick Tambay is really pressing now, and he's up through on the inside. He's going to go through, and he does so. Patrick Tambay takes the lead, not having pit stopped, and his teammate Arnoux has the Ferrari flags wave everywhere around the circuit, and when they come down to the Bosch curve, there'll be an absolute forest of them. Patrick Tambay leading on lap 30, yet to make his pit stop. And he's really got his dander up, of course. He was absolutely livid with rage when he was held up by Jean-Pierre Jarier, and you saw him shake his fist at the Frenchman. And look at it again. Here is Patrick Tambay on lap 30 in the Scarlet Ferrari taking the lead.
Yes, he used the additional power of the Ferrari engine there along the straight. He was nicely placed behind Piquet out of the chicane, got the toe. With the additional power plus the toe, he was able to sweep past him on the straight in perfect position for the corner. So there is Tambay, leader for the moment, but due to make his pit stop pretty soon, as is Nelson Piquet. And so until they have both done that, i.e. we will then have had that leading group of 4 or 5 all stop, we won't really be able to give you an accurate update of what's going on, but we certainly wait with bated breath. I saw a car crawling round off the last curb to the pits, and it looked like Tambay was going awfully slowly.
And Patrese is going very slowly. Well, my goodness, the Austrian Grand Prix has suddenly been transformed. We're not going to get the time of Tambay's pit stop, but as Patrese is rolling in, and once again the Italian is out of a race. He has only finished in 1 of the 11 Grand Prix this year, and there is Patrick Tambay completing, I trust, his pit stop, although it looks a long one to me.
No, he's out of the car. Is he not? Tambay's got... I think Tambay got out of the car. Yes, they're pushing it away. It's an empty car, so he was rolling in. We saw him going very slowly around that corner, what looked as if it was about to be a scheduled stop. was just rolling in, so the Ferrari mechanics leapt on it, as they're drilled to do, and quite rightly, but there was no driver to drive it away. I think he must have come in with a dead engine. Maybe he's blown engine, but amazing coincidence that he and Patrese stops and just coasted in, and there is Keke Rosberg going through his routine stop. Looks pretty well ready, yes, and there he'll do a spectacular departure, yes. There he goes. So, very dramatic. We've lost two of our front runners in one fell swoop, and there is Nigel Mansell coming in. Let's have a look at the Lotus team now to see how they can drill their stop. Not as experienced as some of the others at this, but they look pretty well organised at the moment. Oh, fantastic. It's just the fuel. We got all the wheels done so fast. They did the wheels. Left front, right front though. Stuck on the right front. Nearly a very, very good stop for Nigel Mansell, but a little trouble with the right front. Little slow with the fuel as well. And but they, as I say, are pretty new to this game, and they will certainly get better. They're a good team fundamentally, and they'll get better and better.
So the race is transformed. Patrick Tambay out of it, and there is Nelson Piquet in the pits. And watch it, 10.2 seconds for Nelson Piquet. That is the fastest that we've had so far. The second fastest, Cheever. Now, on lap 32, let's look at the situation. It means that up into the lead now, with Tambay out of it, must, of course, be René Arnoux.
And look at that. There's René Arnoux right up behind Nelson Piquet, who's on cold tyres, so it looks as if René Arnoux will have the advantage here if he can just worm his way around. But Piquet's fighting, because if he can keep the inside of the corner, he can hold Arnoux up, and this corner puts enough work into the tyres for Piquet to get him warm. And as he's pulling away, except of course it's the problem we saw before, that the Ferrari has the power advantage. He's perfectly placed at the toe, so Piquet's got a block right now, which he's having a go at. Oh dear, there's lots of wind. They're old protagonists, these two. Piquet has held it, and that was absolutely vital for Piquet, because if he can just get his tyres warmed up now, and his car's handling all right, put a tiny bit of air, he's got the big advantage of being in the lead. And that was excellent driving by Piquet. I was about to be a little critical of him earlier. I thought when the Brabham team finished their pit stop, I thought Nelson himself was a little bit slow to get that clutch dropped and to get the car moving. He didn't have the engine running very clean as he left the pits. And that, in fact, if he had dropped behind René Arnoux, if he'd been another 5 yards further back, he would have been, and that could have cost him the race. But anyway, all is well, because he made up for it by fighting absolutely brilliantly then to stay in front of Arnoux when everything depended on it. He's a quick thinker, Piquet. He knew the situation, and he has now established himself, I think, in the lead.
Nelson Piquet likes to sleep, if he can, 12 hours a day, which does not mean to say that he's by any means a sleepy chap, as James has just pointed out. And he leads now on lap 33, just in front of René Arnoux. They have both made their pit stops. In third place, and you see him in the picture, or will do in a moment, is Alain Prost. So the first three have closed right up. I remind you that Patrick Tambay, as he did in Germany, has retired from the race, albeit a lot further into it. And on lap 33, there, Nelson Piquet leads. There, René Arnoux second. There, Alain Prost third. Cheever is in fourth position. And Andrea de Cesaris, who was fourth, is out.
Yeah, such a pity that we lost the one Brabham and the one Ferrari out of our original leading group of 5, because it's worked fantastically well, the pit stops this time, because the three remaining combinations from our original group have come back on the track right together, hardly changed as they left off, although of course Nelson Piquet has emerged just in front with a tiny advantage. So we've got a really everything to go for a race to the line now. Let's hope that those three cars can stay healthy, and everybody can stay absolutely healthy, and that we get a really good battle, a close battle for this race.
Just remember how it finished last year here in Austria, when Elio De Angelis in the Lotus and Keke Rosberg were fighting for the last 2 laps, and De Angelis won by about a third of a car's length. It could go that way in this race, although Arnoux has got Lauda in front of him, which is giving Piquet a chance to increase the gap. It's giving Prost a chance to close up on Arnoux, who goes through on the inside and takes the Marlboro McLaren Austrian driver, Niki Lauda, and will now set about trying to close the gap between himself and Nelson Piquet. All the leaders have completed their pit stops. Nigel Mansell is in 5th position. The leader is Nelson Piquet. There he is. Second, Arnoux. There in the yellow Renault in 3rd position is Prost. In 4th position is Cheever. 5th position is Nigel Mansell. 6th, and incredible, Niki Lauda, a lap behind, but the leading non-turbo, and on the way to points. He finished 5th officially in Germany last weekend, only to be excluded for backing in his pit, which allowed John Watson up into that position. And there is Manfred Winkelhock, the German who failed to qualify in Germany, touring in, and it looks as though his race is completed. John Watson is in 12th position. There is René Arnoux. This is lap 34, 53-lap race. And once again, I said last year, the gods have smiled on Alain Prost, and they seem to be doing it again. I said earlier on in the race he needed, above all, to finish in the points, preferably high up in the points, as into the pits comes Niki Lauda to make his stop. And we'll see how the McLaren team deal with it. The fastest we have so far is Nelson Piquet, 10.2 seconds. And he certainly hasn't overshot this time, sitting quite dispassionately in the car. The wheels off, the wheels on, the hose is out, everybody is clear of the car, and Niki Lauda gets away in a whisker over 12 seconds. Not a very good pit stop, one must say, by today's standards, because to be really notable, you have to be about a 10-second stop. And Piquet and Arnoux are threading their way between tail-enders. Number 40 there is Johansson, still in the running, well down the field. Let us hope that the dreaded Jean-Pierre Jarier does not appear in anybody's sights again, because after the fracas between himself and Patrick Tambay, we would not want to see something like that again. Although, come to think of it, it certainly transformed the race and enabled Arnoux to take the lead, Piquet to take 2nd place, Patrick Tambay down to 3rd, and now it's all different again. And that's one of what is unkindly called the Team Calamity cars in front. They're Kalamata sponsors. It's the Osella of Corrado Fabi, who is a fine driver but has not succeeded in qualifying very often. And round they go, the Jochen-Rindt curve, and it's Piquet and Arnoux.
Well, they all survived that. It was a little bit hairy, actually, with one back marker waving them through on the inside, and then another one going slowly around the Bosch curve, around the Rindt curve then on the line. Prost had to do a bit of a weave on his way through, but he got through all right. And that looks like Manfred Winkelhock, and it looks like he's got a dead engine. He's just coasting into the pit road, so yes, I don't think Winkelhock looks as if he's going to be taking much further part. He's certainly not in a hurry.
Winkelhock out of the race, De Cesaris out of the race, Tambay out of the race, De Angelis out of the race, and Alboreto and Derek Warwick. So it goes. There are not all that many runners left, but the ones up front that are left are certainly giving us a fine Austrian Grand Prix on lap 36. The gap between Nelson Piquet and René Arnoux now is well under 1 second. You can see for yourselves the gap, according to my stopwatch, in fact, is 0.6 of a second as they go round the Texaco curves. This is a 130-mile-an-hour section up the hill. They're doing about 155 when they go up towards the Jochen-Rindt curve. Now 140 miles an hour as they go into the right-hander, and the first 3 are absolutely together. Alain Prost looks as though he's making this the race that could decide that he's going to be world champion of '83.
Yes, and they're back in the same old problem that we talked about earlier in the race, when you said to me, Murray, were they just sort of holding position or what? Yellow flags being waved up here, so there's been some sort of an incident I saw as the cars approached the corner there, but whatever happened, we're not getting a look at it. No, couldn't see what it was. Maybe a car off the circuit, and he's put out of shot of the camera there. But the problem is, of course, they can't get any closer to each other. They're perfectly evenly matched. On a slow circuit, they'd all be right up each other's exhaust pipes. But with the very fast corners here and the dependence, therefore, on the cars on their aerodynamics to work properly to get maximum grip and lots of down thrust through these corners, if they follow another car too closely. And René Arnoux is getting very close there. That's where the power of the Ferrari engine and the tow give him a chance, but it's very difficult for him to be close enough each time out of the previous corner unless he can persuade Piquet just to make a little slip and come out a bit slowly. But he's really having a go now. Arnoux looks as if he's making the big effort.
Watch Nelson Piquet's eyes when you get a close-up of it. He's watching his mirrors very carefully indeed to see where René Arnoux is, and it's about 0.3 of a second as they go over the sign there. In fact, it's exactly 0.3 of a second. And look at Alain Prost. He's keeping a weather eye open on the two in front of him. They're on lap 37 now, 53 lap race, I mean. And very, very little in it between the first and third, let alone the first and second. Brabham BMW, and Arnoux is going to try and go through out of the chicane, I think.
It almost looks to me as if he's turned his turbocharging boost up from the cockpit for the moment just to have a go. And if he's done that, that would be good tactics, so long as he makes sure he turns it down again pretty soon and doesn't risk, because now he's right in position, he's getting the toe up, he's alongside, and there he goes. Through on the inside, but he's sliding a bit wide, but he got it back just in time to stop Piquet coming back at him. And now I think that, and there goes Prost. Prost has taken advantage of the mess that Piquet got into a bit then, and that is the problem. But they're absolutely side by side, but Prost has the line for the Bosch curve. If he can get onto the brakes last, and he does. He's got the inside. So poor old Piquet, in the space of two corners, he's gone from first to third, but I'm quite sure we haven't heard the last from him yet. He'll be doing everything he can to fight back.
Yes, and I think we haven't heard the last of Alain Prost either, because here is his chance. He's 9 points ahead in the World Championship at the moment. That's one race in effect. You get 9 points for a win. Now, if he can get 9 or 6 points for second place here, it's going to tremendously strengthen his World Championship chances. And he's finished in every race this year, the Frenchman in the Renault. Now, completing lap 39, coming up into lap 38. Over the line goes Prost, sandwiched between Arnoux there. The gap between Arnoux and Prost is 1.1 seconds. There is Nigel Mansell, who is about to be lapped, believe it or not, by René Arnoux. And Mansell, don't forget, is in fifth position, Nigel Mansell. There is Arnoux. Now, is Nigel Mansell going to move over and let Arnoux through? Well, move over or not, and he did. Arnoux's Ferrari demonstrates its enormous power superiority over Mansell's car. Mansell, now watch it, here is Piquet and Prost chasing Arnoux. Piquet on the inside of the left-hander, which means that Prost has the inside of the right-hander, the Bosch curve. He leaves his braking a fraction later, noses ahead, takes second place from Piquet, who just a few yards further had been in the lead, and that happened on lap 38. Now there is Prost. Where is Arnoux? Just ahead of him.
Yes, but just glancing at the Ferrari, I would say they were running more wing than any of their rivals, and that of course will take away from the straight line speed, so the engine is pushing even more power out. It's got to overcome the additional wing that Ferrari are running, and then produce more yet to make the car actually go faster at top speed. So it really is the most impressive piece of engineering. Ferrari have been wonderful engine builders in Formula before this for a long, long time. Their problem has always been producing a chassis, but this chassis is certainly competent. I think the big strength of the car is undoubtedly the engine, but the chassis is a tribute to Harvey Postlethwaite and the other Ferrari engineers who were involved on it. It's certainly the best chassis they produced for a while, and it's certainly a lot, far and away, the best chassis that Harvey Postlethwaite has ever had anything to do with. So a good effort behind the British there in helping out Ferrari, but that won't be pleasing Nelson Piquet or indeed Alain Prost at the moment, who are watching Arnoux trying to build a bit of a gap. It's very nip and tuck at the moment between him and Prost. Prost is clinging on for all he's worth, and both these drivers will be absolutely on 11/10 at the moment in trying to settle the race now. If Arnoux can start to move away from Prost, Prost will be unlikely to be able to respond very much. On the other hand, it doesn't look as if he's going to succeed. Prost is holding him, and Prost will be, in fact, is closing slightly now. So once more, we've seen the lead swap round, and we've seen nobody able to get away. So it really looks as if we've got them tied together for the rest of the race. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that nobody has any sort of mechanical problem or even a tire problem of going off, and that they remain this evenly matched so that we can see a real gladiatorial battle to the line.
Arnoux leads, Prost is second. In third position, it is Nelson Piquet, he's still there. In fourth position, it's the second Renault, Eddie Cheever. In fifth position, lapped Nigel Mansell. Sixth, leading non-turbo car, Niki Lauda. These are the leaders on the left, Arnoux on the right. Prost, Ferrari versus Renault. Arnoux 75th Grand Prix, Prost's 53rd Grand Prix. Italian engineering versus French, and Goodyear tyres in the lead versus Michelin second.
Yes, I'm just having a look at René Arnoux' left front tyre to see if maybe he was having a little bit of tyre trouble that had appeared to have slowed him down, because Prost seems to find it much easier to climb all over the back of him now than he did, say, 5 laps ago. But we haven't had a good close-up from the pictures we've had. The tyres look all right, and there goes, and Prost is right past him. So Arnoux must be in some sort of trouble. He didn't, that shouldn't have happened, but Prost just drove round the outside of him, and he's off and running and into the lead.
On lap 48 in this 53-lap race, and Alain Prost, who qualified only in 5th position, which is comparatively low for him, but who said to me yesterday that he was very confident for the race, notwithstanding the problems he had had in practice, is proving that his confidence was well placed, is proving that Renault, who had 20 retirements out of the 30 Grand Prix team races last year with their 2 drivers, because both Prost and Arnoux went out 10 times each last year, have overcome their reliability problems. This is the 11th Grand Prix of the year. Alain Prost so far has finished in every one of them. He has come through from 5th place on the grid. He had a very good pit stop in 11.7 seconds. Now he's ahead of his ex-teammate and considerable rival, René Arnoux. He is going through to complete now his 48th lap. He's into lap 49, and it's a 53-lap race, I say again, and it looks to me as though he has definitely got the legs of the Ferrari of René Arnoux.
Yes, well, my only thought there, but Arnoux's hanging on all right now. Maybe he missed a gear or something there. I can't see what else happened. He appeared to come out of the chicane before that overtaking manoeuvre in a healthy state, so that's all very surprising to me. Unless he's having a bit of gearbox bother and missed a gear, I can think of no other good reason why he suddenly appeared to just allow the slightly less powerful Renault to walk past him.
And we look at the 6th place man again, Niki Lauda in the Marlboro McLaren, who is going to finish in the points for the 2nd Grand Prix in succession, albeit disqualified from Germany for backing up in the pits. And that these days is an enormous achievement, because Lauda, who was the fastest non-turbo car to qualify, was only 14th fastest. He had 13 turbos ahead of him. And yet in the race he's made his way up by reliability, by sheer precision and experience in this, his 137th Grand Prix, to a 6th place that I don't think many people would have said he had a hope of achieving. Niki Lauda then crossing the line to go through and complete another lap. Meantime, up front with Lauda chasing Johansson up the ascent to the Hellerlicht curve, the chicane that was built to slow this tremendously fast circuit down some years ago, because the lap record here held by René Arnoux is 143.7 miles an hour. There is Lauda going through and taking Johansson, who stopped earlier on, and I would expect, frankly, to be disqualified for being push-started at the end of this race. But anyway, he is getting in some racing test mileage for Gordon Kopak, the ex-McLaren now Spirit car designer to use for experience, and the president of the Honda company is here to watch this race, and he sees now Alain Prost leading René Arnoux on lap 50 out of 53, and although Prost looks as though he's set for 6 World Championship points, which would give him 48 in total and increase his World Championship lead, I think that René Arnoux would move up to 2nd or 3rd position. He's certainly going to move ahead of Patrick Tambay, who was 3rd and is now out of the race, but we'll see about that when the race finishes. Alain Prost then leading, not so very far off, home dry and first as he comes up behind Stefan Johansson's turbocharged Honda-powered Spirit. That very distinctive, dull, thrumming noise of the turbocharged Renault engine over the line, and he's increasing his lead all the time over René Arnoux. It's some 3 seconds now. So it could well be, as James hypothesised, that Arnoux has got some sort of gearbox trouble, although I would be surprised because, look, he's still hanging on fairly well as they go, very well in fact, as they go up to the Glatz curve. There is Prost. Prost has already won 3 Grand Prix this year. It looks as though he's on his way to his 4th, as Niki Lauda in 6th position is about to be lapped by René Arnoux in 2nd place. The Ferrari goes through, takes the Marlboro McLaren very easily, which shows the superior performance of the Ferrari engine. And on lap 51 now, with only 2 to go at the end of this one, laps 52 and 3. It is Prost leading, Arnoux 2nd, Piquet 3rd, Chiva 4th. Mansell is still in there in 5th place on his way to 2 World Championship points. Niki Lauda is in 6th position, and John Watson is 9th. So Watson too has shown that just by hanging on and being reliable, you can still be well up at the finish, because he started in 17th position on the grid, John Watson. He's now up into 9th place, partly of course because of the defection of cars in front of him and their retirement, but for whatever reason John Watson is in there at the finish at the present moment as we watch Nelson Piquet, and we haven't seen him for a long time. Nelson Piquet in 3rd position in the Brabham BMW. Over the line he goes, and Prost is coming up now to complete his 52nd lap. So now Alain Prost is on his last lap, and he's closing up on the man who is in 3rd position. It looks as though only 2, maybe 3 cars are going to finish this race having run the full distance, although I doubt that Alain Prost is going to catch and pass Nelson Piquet in what is left of his last lap. Last but 1 lap, Alain Prost, and it could well be, with another full lap to go at the end of this one, that Alain Prost will catch and pass Nelson Piquet, who is in 3rd place, and in that case only 2 cars would finish the full 53 lap race distance. Prost down to the Jochen Rindt curve, having driven, James, I think, an absolutely copybook race.
Yes, he really looks very well set for the World Championship this year, because apart from anything else, things seem to be working out very well for him luck-wise. I'm not saying that he had any luck here today to help him, other than the fact that there's always some luck involved when your car holds up and runs perfectly, as Alain Prost has done. Yellow flag waving again up there. I wonder what that's all about. Didn't see anything there. But, you know, for instance, in the last race in Germany, when he was struggling like that, all his main protagonists had one bit of misfortune or another, and so his lead in the World Championship wasn't hurt, and he had a bad race in Germany. Now he's having a good race, and still Arnoux is keeping Piquet at bay, because Piquet is the man who's closest to him in the points. So things are working very well for Alain Prost. They started working well once the European season got underway, and he's got that look about him, and he's extending his lead now. He's now got more than a race win cushion for anybody else to catch him. It'll take him a couple of races even to catch him, assuming that he completes his last lap without drama, because René Arnoux is still very close to him, and any cough or splutter, a shortage of petrol or something like that will have Arnoux through. But it looks good, and a good race from René Arnoux. He's had 2 good races on the trot now. He won well in Germany, and he needed some good races to get his confidence, or the confidence of his team in him, back up, Ferrari, and he has also had a very good race indeed.
Into the last corner on the last lap, Alain Prost coming through to win his 4th Grand Prix, and very likely to ensure the World Championship for himself, provided the car is as reliable as it has been in the next races. Arnoux finishes there in 2nd place and certainly moves up in the World Championship table. And now we wait for Nelson Piquet, who was at one time battling with those two and right up there with them, indeed having led the race, to come through and take 3rd position. Well, either his tyres have gone off or his gearbox has given trouble. There is Piquet finishing 3rd place, just ahead of 4th place man Eddie Cheever. There is the confirmation. Nigel Mansell will finish 5th, a full lap behind, ahead of the 6th place man and last man to score World Championship points, Niki Lauda. So again, victory for Alain Prost and 9 points, ahead of 2nd place man René Arnoux with 6. Nelson Piquet gets 4 points for 3rd, and Cheever gets 3 points to form. Then Derek Ongaro, the official starter, will give them the red, and then in less than 7 seconds the green. They're very slow warming up, forming up at the back. I hope the clutches are perfectly okay. The front cars, this is an inordinately long start. They're getting the OK flag. Derek Ongaro gives it the red. It's green. It's go for 72 laps. And Prost bursts out, Piquet's away, Cheever is up into 2nd position ahead of Prost. So it's Piquet, Cheever, Prost, Patrese, and Tombe. Patrick Tombe is in trouble at the start, but leading away, it is Nelson Piquet with the 2 Renaults behind him, then his teammate, then De Cesaris, then the 2 JPS Renaults, Patrick Tombe down, and don't forget that René Arnoux in the 2nd Ferrari only started in 10th position. There he is. And the tail-enders coming through, and so we're on to lap 1.
Yes, I would think Tombe probably had trouble with his clutch there at the start. As you rightly said, they were held a long time, Murray, on the start, and that was really